This video is sponsored by Surfshark. In the ocean of online content, there are a lot of websites that take your info without you even knowing it. But you can swim under their radar using Surfshark VPN. Using their service, you can stop websites from tracking your info and selling targeted ads to you. Plus, with Surfshark's Alert ID protection, you'll get an alert whenever someone is trying to break into your email. One of my favorite features of Surfshark is that you can see content not available in your area. For whatever reason, Rick and Morty is not available on Netflix if you're in the United States. But with Surfshark, you can change your location to Italy and watch it there. So if you want both protection and freedom online, click the link in the description and use promo code LarryLurr. It not only gives you 83% off of the regular price, but also 3 extra months for free. Surfshark offers a 30-day money-back guarantee, so there's no risk to try it out for yourself. Thanks, Surfshark. And now let's continue with the video. Pichu made his debut in the Smash series in Super Smash Bros. Melee. Competitively, he's one of the worst characters in that game. He's the lightest character, has abysmal range, and does damage to himself whenever he does electric attacks. There's honestly no reason to use Pichu competitively when there's Pikachu who is better in almost every way. It felt like Pichu was designed to be a joke character similar to Dan in Street Fighter. When Ultimate was announced and showed that every single character who had ever been playable in the series was coming back, there was a lot of speculation on how characters would play compared to how they did in the previous iterations. There were a lot of people who expected Pichu to be the joke character he was in Melee, but they were wrong. Horribly wrong. At the start of Ultimate, Pichu was a dominant force. He still had the same flaws I mentioned in Melee, but a lot more strengths to make up for them. He's very tiny, making him extremely difficult to hit. His combo game and kill power had become far greater, making him a strong glass cannon. The changes Pichu received I think are the most notable are to his downer, which now spikes, making it a much better edge guarding tool. Thunder can now spike if you're hit near the cloud, which can kill incredibly early off stage, or combo into the second hitbox, which is also a stronger kill move, and will always send the opponent in the direction Pichu is facing. He lost the ability to chain grab, but his down throw and up throw are still amazing for comboing at a wide variety of percents, and will also combo into Thunder for kills. Back air has become an electric attack, meaning he takes damage from it now, but it's also multiple hits, allowing Pichu to do drag down combos, and is better for killing and edge guarding. Forward tilt is also an electric attack now, always trips grounded opponents at low percent, is a strong kill move, and has less end lag. And finally, agility travels a longer distance and has less end lag. These changes and more made Pichu significantly better than his Melee counterpart competitively. A lot of people believed Pichu to be one of the best characters in Ultimate. Some even believed he was the best character in the game. There were a couple of reasons behind this in my opinion. The first one is that Ultimate was still a very new game, so it was much easier to catch people with certain options that wouldn't work as well today, on top of the fact that the meta for a lot of characters were nowhere near being developed. The other reason is that the character was getting really good results at the start of the game's life. One of the biggest Ultimate tournaments ever, Genesis 6, had a Pichu player getting second. Typically when a character is getting really good results, people tend to automatically go into thinking the character is very high on the tier list. In Pichu's case, I think it was more so people just not understanding how to fight the character, on top of his meta developing faster than others at the beginning of the game. Pichu had a very exploitable flaw that many people were not using at the beginning of Ultimate's life, due to lack of knowledge. But as everyone was learning more about the game, the counterplay to Pichu was becoming more apparent to people. Pichu struggles heavily against defensive play. While he does have answers to this, it is still a very effective way of fighting him. This is because one of Pichu's best approaching options, Thunder Jolt, damages him whenever he uses the attack. This means Pichu will have to be very selective as to when he uses the attack, or else he could be giving himself a decent amount of damage before actually getting in on the opponent. The fact that Pichu is the lightest character in the game makes this issue that much worse, because the damage done to himself gets rid of a noticeable portion of damage the opponent needs to put the character at kill percent. As mentioned before, the range on most of Pichu's attacks aren't that good, so he's going to have to rely on his projectiles to get in. So as a Pichu player, you're left with the possibility of giving yourself a lot of damage from excessive use of Thunder Jolts, or using it very little, and potentially having your neutral game suffer because of it. To add on top of everything else, character metas were catching up to Pichu's, meaning a lot of characters' punish games were getting significantly better. Because of Pichu's weight, this meant that a lot of characters were able to put him at kill percent from 1 or 2 neutral interactions. This caused results with the character to slowly decline, as well as people starting to realize he wasn't as good as many thought he was initially. There is one final thing that happened which caused the slow decline of Pichu to accelerate much faster than anyone had anticipated. He got nerfed. Patch 3.1 was released, which gave us one of the biggest nerfs in Ultimate's life, the nerf to Pichu. Pichu's hurtbox had become bigger, making him easier to hit. One of his fastest and most reliable kill moves, forward tilt, has noticeably less kill power. This made it more difficult for Pichu to get kills, especially near the ledge, and all of his electric moves deal more damage to him. Pichu players had to be even more selective about the moves they picked, since whiffing some attacks would punish them even more now. So not only did this patch weaken some of Pichu's strengths, but it also made one of his main weaknesses even worse. After the update, results got even worse and a lot of people stopped using him. He was a character with a massive amount of representation, and now it's become incredibly rare to see him played. Speaking of character representation, I got the opportunity to talk with Void, who is one of the top Pichu players in the world, and ask him a couple of questions. So Void, how good do you think Pichu was at the beginning of Ultimate?
At the start of Ultimate, I feel like Pichu was a really good character, mainly because I think everyone else sucked. So I think everybody had trouble hitting Pichu. And that coupled with the fact that Pichu has a pretty good recovery, really good edge guard potential, and really simple combos. So I feel like the Pichu metagame, even outside of like myself learning loops really quickly, I feel like the Pichu metagame just progressed really fast. And Pichu has Thunder Jolt as like a camp tool that did a lot of damage. So in the beginning of the game, Pichu was just like one of those characters where the meta developed significantly faster than the counterplay. And I mean, you would see like a good amount of Pichus having success everywhere. Not like at the top level, like at the top, there was still only like a handful, like you'd still see a lot more like maybe wolves or snakes in the beginning. But Pichu definitely had a really big accelerated meta, largely to myself, I think, because I just showed everybody, even at like the top level of play, like this is what Pichu can do, this is how you can ledge trap, these are loops that can potentially 0 to death people. And overall, like the fact that you die at really early percents didn't really matter because nobody really had super solid kill confirms, people were really bad at spacing their moves because it was hard to get used to the game, stuff like that.
Okay, makes sense. So for the next question, do you think Pichu is worth solo maining?
Do I think Pichu is worth solo maining? I think Pichu is worth solo maining, but I do not think a solo main Pichu is going to win an S tier. I can see a solo Pichu winning an A tier, like by themselves, but I think in current Smash Ult meta, I think it's really, really hard for a solo Pichu to win an S tier. So for some people, that might not be considered solo mainable. But the fact that like you can place very high in an S tier, of course, means that you could even win. If you get the right bracket, you could win. But if you don't get the right bracket, I feel like it's incredibly difficult for Pichu, because either top players are just really good at fighting the character, or you end up running into like 1 or 2 bad matchups, and it's Pichu. You can't really like change your playstyle that drastically. So yeah, overall, I do still think Pichu is a really good character. I do think Pichu is solo mainable, but I think the counterplay against Pichu has hurt Pichu the most as the game has developed further.
Smash Ultimate has been out for over 2 years now, and Pichu is nowhere near the top tier people thought he was before. He's often rated high or even a mid-tier character now. While Pichu still has some top-level representation, very few players solo main him anymore and have pushed him to the sides as a counterpick character. Pichu is a character that was held in high regard at the start of Ultimate's competitive life, but shortly after people were starting to realize the character's flaws, said flaws became worse. Ultimate is still a very young game and the meta is constantly evolving. There may be something new discovered that potentially gives rise to the Pichu we saw at the beginning of Ultimate. That already gets buffed. And that is it for this video. Let me know in the comments what you think about Pichu and how you feel about this situation. If you enjoyed the video, give it a like, and if you are not yet subscribed to my channel, please do that and ring the bell. It really does help me out a lot. Thanks for watching, and I will see you next time.